There is a moment in every crime when the outcome is already sealed, but no one in the room realizes it yet. On September 6, 2018, that moment arrived quietly. A man unlocked the door to his Dallas apartment. He didn't know it would be the last door he ever closed. He didn't know the place he felt safest, his couch, his living room, the floor beneath his feet, was about to become a crime scene. He sat down. He ate ice cream. The night felt ordinary. At the same time, somewhere else in the same building, an off-duty police officer was coming home after a long shift. Tired, on routine, still armed. Two separate lives. Two routines that should never have crossed. One hallway between them, and something went catastrophically wrong. A door opened. A gun was raised. A single decision was made in seconds. By the time help arrived, Botham, a 26-year-old accountant from St. Lucia, was dying inside the apartment he paid for, lived in, and believed would protect him. The explanation came fast and stayed loud. She thought it was her apartment. The 6 words that would echo through courtrooms, newsrooms, and dinner table arguments across the country. To some, they sounded like a tragic mistake. To others, they sounded like a shield, one only certain people are allowed to carry. Because this case forces an uncomfortable question. If confusion is enough, if exhaustion is enough, if fear is enough, then what does safe at home actually mean? This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't a street confrontation. There was no warning, no pursuit, no confirmed threat, just a man at home, unarmed, until he wasn't alive anymore. And yet, the killing wasn't the moment that fractured public trust the most. That fracture came later. It came in a courtroom when the victim's family offered forgiveness, and the world froze, divided over whether it was grace or something the system quietly relies on. And it came again when a man who testified about that night, someone who lived across the hall, was shot and killed just days after the verdict. No explanations yet. No conclusions offered here. Just a growing sense that this case didn't end with a gunshot. It expanded, because when someone dies inside their own home, and the aftermath includes mercy, controversy, and another death, the question becomes unavoidable. Was this just a mistake, or a warning about how fragile safety really is? Today, we're breaking down the anatomy of the Botham Jean case, from the moment the door opened to everything that followed. And before we go further, ask yourself this. If this can happen at home, where does safety begin? Before we go further, where are you watching from? And when you hear the words, she thought it was her apartment, does that explain the shooting for you? Or does it raise even more questions? Welcome to the Crime Anatomy. We uncover the real stories behind the nation's most disturbing cases. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss an episode.
You saw someone?
Yes, I thought it was my apartment. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
On September 6, 2018, in Dallas, Texas, police officer Amber Geiger returns back to her apartment complex after a 13-hour shift. But she doesn't go to her unit on the 3rd floor. Instead, she ends up on the 4th floor.
I'm an off-duty officer. I thought it was in my apartment, and I shot a guy thinking it was my apartment.
In reality, it was the home of her 26-year-old neighbor, Botham Jean. Investigators would conclude that at the time Geiger entered the unit, Jean was on the couch eating ice cream. Evidence would even suggest that Jean may have been in a cowering or ducking position when shot. So then why did Geiger shoot him? She later said she thought Jean was an intruder and her life was in danger.
Botham Jean was born in Castries, St. Lucia. Friends and family called him Bo. Reporting consistently describes him as grounded in faith, community, and service from an early age, active in church life, music, and leadership. He wasn't famous or powerful, but he was reliable, present, the kind of person others leaned on. He earned a scholarship to Harding University, studied business and accounting, graduated, and built relationships that followed him into adulthood. Then came the move to Dallas, a stable job at PricewaterhouseCoopers, a clear trajectory, a future being built step by step. And this is why the framing matters. This was not someone in danger, not someone where they shouldn't have been, not someone spiraling. He was home, after work, Inside his own apartment, his parents and younger brother weren't just grieving a loss. They were pulled into a public fight where the most basic truth had to be defended again and again. Botham Jean was exactly where he was supposed to be. Remember that. Because what follows is why this case never stopped haunting people.
Let the Spirit of the Lord and let it rise. You gotta let the Spirit of the Lord and let it rise. Among us and let the praise of our King and let it rise. Come on, let it rise. You gotta let it rise and sing, oh, 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 oh. Come on, let it rise. You gotta let the glory, let it, and let the glory of the Lord and let it.
There's no slow build here, just a sudden drop. September 6th, 2018, that Botham Jean returned to his apartment complex. Later that night, Amber Geiger, an off-duty Dallas police officer, arrived home after a long shift, often described as around 13 and a half hours. She lived in the same complex on a lower floor. According to her account, she parked on the wrong level and approached the wrong door, Botham's apartment. People often want cinematic answers. Was the door open? What did he say? What did she see? But the grounded facts are these. She entered the apartment. Botham was inside. He was unarmed. She fired her service weapon. Botham Jean was taken to Baylor University Medical Center, where he later died. And the shock wasn't only the death. It was the framing that followed. Two narratives collided. A man killed inside his own home. An officer claiming she believed she was in hers. And the real question beneath it all wasn't simply, was it a mistake? It was, what happens when a mistake is armed? Fear alone isn't the standard. Action is, did she verify? Did she retreat? Did she call for help? Did she rely on training meant for moments of uncertainty? Prosecutors argued that she failed basic protocols, failing to disengage or seek backup before escalating to deadly force. Then came another escalation, this time in public perception. Search warrant details revealed that marijuana was listed among items found in Botham's apartment. His family's attorneys immediately condemned the timing and implication, because suddenly the focus wasn't on the officer who entered and shot, but on the victim's home. Nothing about that detail changed the core facts. He was home, unarmed, and dead. But it triggered a familiar pattern, one many viewers recognize instantly. When accountability can't be erased, attention is redirected. That's when this case stopped being local.
More than likely, she failed to render aid to Botham John. It's just plain and simple.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Come on.
She's not administering any CPR or anything like that when the officers arrived. There's no blood on her. She hadn't really touched him. Neither is she asking for any advice from the 911 officer or discussing what type of medical aid can be given in order to save his life.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. They're coming. They're bud. I'm sorry, man.
As a police officer, if someone's injured, whether it's at your hand or the hand of another, it is your responsibility to render aid. It's the duty and responsibility of a police officer to protect the rights of an individual they are arresting.
Systemic failure isn't usually one moment. It's a sequence. Amber Geiger was initially charged with manslaughter, sparking immediate protests and public scrutiny. Later, a grand jury indicted her on murder charges. That shift mattered. It marked acknowledgement that this wasn't merely careless. It demanded the highest level of legal examination. The defense centered on mistaken belief. The prosecution centered on failure to confirm, failure to retreat, failure to follow protocol. October 1st, 2019, a Dallas County jury found Amber Geiger guilty of murder. October 2nd, 2019, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Reactions split sharply. For some, the conviction itself was historic. For others, the sentence felt insufficient for a life taken inside home. Then came the moment that stunned the world. Botham's younger brother, Brant Jean, delivered a victim impact statement, then expressed forgiveness. He asked to hug her. The judge allowed it. Viewers saw that moment differently. Grace. Pain. faith, or a system that places emotional expectations on grieving black families. Then the judge, Tammy Kemp, also hugged Geiger and gave her a Bible, an action that sparked ethics complaints and national debate. That wasn't peripheral. It became part of the case's emotional core. And just when it seemed the story had reached its peak, it escalated again.
I forgive you, and I know if you go to God and ask Him, He will forgive you, but I love you just like anyone else. I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you, and the best would be give your life to Christ. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that Botham would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person, and I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please? Yes.
During trial, prosecutors called a neighbor who lived across the hall, Joshua Brown. He testified about what he heard that night and stated he did not hear certain verbal commands before the shots. Days later, October 4th, 2019, Joshua Brown was shot and killed in Dallas. No embellishment was needed. The timing alone ignited public fear. Police later stated his death was unrelated to the trial, describing it as a drug deal gone wrong and identifying suspects from Louisiana. That was the official explanation. But context mattered, because earlier, marijuana details in Botham's apartment had already sparked accusations of victim blaming. So for many people, the framing felt familiar. We report the facts. We report the official findings. But we also acknowledge the distrust this moment created. Even without conspiracy, the message was chilling. In cases involving police violence, the space around truth can become dangerous.
I can't say I seen him. I heard him in there.
Okay, when you say you heard him, what did you mean?
Heard him singing every morning.
Okay, you heard him singing. What kind of things did you hear him sing?
Gospel music, Drake.
And your door is directly across the hall from where Mr. Jones' apartment was, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so in the mornings, were you inside of your apartment when you heard Mr. Jones singing, or outside of your apartment?
I'll probably hear him when I come out, lock my door. I'll hear him.
Okay, so from in the hallway, you can hear his activities inside his apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? You have to say it out loud, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Amber Geiger appealed. The conviction was upheld. She became eligible for parole in late September 2024. In October 2024, parole was denied, with the next review set for 2026. Then came civil court. November 2024. A federal jury awarded $98.65 million to Botham Jean's family and estate, finding excessive force and constitutional violations. The amount mattered, but the message mattered more. What happened in that apartment was not reasonable. This case resonates because it shattered assumptions. Home should be the last safe place. Mistake does not erase responsibility. Forgiveness is personal. Accountability is structural. Reform only matters if behavior changes. Texas lawmakers later passed the Botham Jean Act, HB 929, addressing law enforcement recording policies and accountability mechanisms. Laws don't heal grief, but they can reduce the space where the next tragedy becomes possible. Botham Jean was not a statistic first. He was a son, a brother, a man building a future. And the reason his name still echoes is simple. He died in the one place he should have been safest. If you believe cases like this matter, if accountability matters, then help this story reach further than the excuses. Subscribe to the Crime Anatomy. Share this episode, and tell me in the comments, what detail in this case stays with you the most? because silence is how systems reset. And we are here to examine what they would rather you forget.